and salutations, everybody, and welcome back to Colecast, the podcast for all of us. I'm Xlj the Og, and you can see I've got a very special guest with me here today on Colecast. Look at that sensual face over there. He's got an even more sensual voice. You know him, you love him. The best Gout Machine is joining us here today on Colecast. How are you doing, good sir?
I'm amazing. I feel spooky. My nipples look like candy corn, and I'm ready to rock.
Yes, indeedy. So, yes, if you haven't figured it out now, yes, it is our annual horror movie Colecast episode. It's the Horror Effect Part 3. And I couldn't think of a better guest to have on than with the best Gout Machine.
Me.
Yes, because you and I, friend, we also share the common love for horror films as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. I'm a spooky son of a bitch since I was born.
Well, that actually kind of segues into kind of the very first thing I wanted to talk about with you. Like, so how did you get into horror films? Like, was it as a kid you just gravitated towards them, or like what specifically drew the best Gout Machine to horror?
You know what? I think it was because my grandmother was like an old woman who loved scary movies.
Oh, okay.
So we would all rent movies, and like my family was like into like westerns or like really bad comedies, and like my grandmother was like Return of the Living Dead Part 2 or Candyman.
Nice.
And like it traumatized me for like a minute, and then like it just was part of my life, and I pursued it later on, like when I was able to like actually rent movies myself.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like when I got of age to where like I could get the R-rated films or those naughty films, it was like
Video
I
after.
instantly gravitated towards horror films because it's just like, it's the stuff that your mom and dad are like, you can't be watching that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my parents were like, you cannot. Up until I hit 18, they were like, because we're a very conservative, area, so they're like, you can't watch rated R films at all. And so I've gone to my cousin's house and like rent horror movies with them because almost all of them are rated R during the 80s and 90s.
Oh yeah.
Hard pressed to find a PG-13 one. Maybe House.
Yeah, and the PG-13, let's call a spade a spade. The PG-13 ones really just weren't like this. No, I mean, there's some back in the day before the rating system where it was just like, holy shit,
Mm-hmm.
I think Rosemary's Baby, I don't think that was rated back in the day.
No.
That's one of the first ones I remember because, I mean, that was kind of like a creepy as hell movie. Still is to this day, I think.
Hail Satan!
Yeah. Oh my god. You know what I find too, like, and I mean, we're gonna talk about so many different genres here on this episode, but what I loved about that movie was just like how it was all like subtle, like suggestions, and really it was like the facial expressions in that movie that freaking sold that damn. Like, holy shit, this is fucked up beyond belief. And oh yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they were going after the spawn of Satan. But anyways, I digress. But
You maniacs!
maniac.
I love that line.
Your God. I always like how like that line just gets like it gets recycled like in pop culture and stuff, and just like there's different interpretations of it, It's like, you maniacs, oh, you're crazy man. Or like, you maniacs, you goddamn maniacs.
You maniacs.
You murderers, you
But
psychopath.
the way she said it with "you maniacs,"
Right. Yeah. Yeah, with that like going up. Yeah, exactly, man. I can still remember that to this day. So let me ask you this: what is like the first horror movie you really remember watching as a kid and just like kind of being like, holy shit, like?
It could have very easily been one of the sequels to Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nice.
I'm thinking it could have been Freddy's Dead: The Final Nightmare.
Okay.
Like I remember the video game part of
Oh
it.
yeah.
That is in here. That I feel like that is the earliest memory I have.
The Power
And
Glove.
and then like I would have nightmares of him being in my nightmares. I'm like, fuck. You're here. I'm gonna die now.
That's the thing too. Like we grew up in that era where it was like some of this shit was marketed towards kids. Like Freddy Krueger was heavily marketed towards children, for God's sake. Like he had action figures, dolls, freaking
Video games.
video games, a TV show for crying out loud, a 1-900 number you could call, and they could scare the bejesus out of you. But don't forget, you gotta get your parents' permission.
Mhm.
But yeah, yeah, that's it's funny you say that because Freddy's definitely like one of those ones that I gravitate towards as well as a kid. I think like one of the first ones I really remember was oh, nice.
I
You
don't
got.
know if you ever seen it.
I didn't realize you had Freddy, but I can
Oh
respect.
yes.
Now, did that happen in a dream though, or did you willingly do that?
Well, I was somewhat on drugs that day, so you could say it was during a dream. Woke up and I had that and a Daria tattoo on me too.
Oh shit, man. But no, like I remember like I think here's the weird thing for me with Freddy. Like the first thing I remember really is like actually the TV show. Because it was like,
Oh,
I kind of knew of him, but I didn't really like actually get to see anything of him until like I saw that like show that was on for like a season in syndication and stuff. And then it's kind of like then I kind of really went down that rabbit hole. I think like
yeah.
the first one I ever really actually saw was it probably was the first Nightmare, honestly, because I remember like the beginning, with the arms out and stuff, and
Stretching
like
out.
yeah. Which I mean that's one of the most iconic like introductions of like any horror movie character. I would
Mm-hmm.
say it's like they're in Nightmare, dude. So I'll tell you another
This
one.
is gone.
This is God. I'll tell you another one that really freaked me out as a kid, no pun intended, but the movie Freaks from like 1932, like
Oh,
Todd
okay,
Browning.
classic.
Oh my god, like that still like gives me kind of goosebump type of moments just because of the imagery in that. Like the scene that always sticks out to me is the guy with like no arms and no legs, army crawling in like the mud with the freaking knife in
Yeah,
his
that.
mouth. I'm like, oh, that
Yeah.
is.
Plus your hatred of disabled people. Joking.
I love you. I love you all. I can't do the heart
He,
emoji, but yeah,
he does. He does.
I love it. XLJ loves everybody
He loves everyone. I'm just bad joke.
except for Denise Salcido because she's a bitch.
Fuck Denise Salcido.
Fuck Fight TV. Anyways,
And fuck
um,
my TV. Continue.
yes. But yeah, dude, like, another one for me as a kid that I gravitated towards a lot was the Universal Monsters. Were you a huge Universal Monsters fan as a kid?
Yes, as soon as when I'm a nerd of something, I gotta like hunt down everything about it. So when I got into horror movies, I went and watched every one of those. I educated myself on Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney Jr. I was all over that. So luckily, like in the horror section, it was weird because it was never in the horror section. It was like in the classic section, and I was able to
Yeah.
watch those because they're not rated R.
Yeah, you could get by with it, and I don't know. I'm kind of old school with it too because I try to put myself like remembering like watching it as a kid for first time, and like still kind of put gets me in the feels like thinking about that. You got to turn the
Hmm.
lights off and stuff. And yeah, that
And
first time you see like Bella as like Dracula, it's like oh shit.
there is a legit part in the original because, like, I know people watch back on these and they're not scared. People were like spooked out of their minds back in the day. But there's like a scene in in the Bela Lugosi's Dracula where I don't know, it was like a werewolf howl or something like that. And when I first saw that, it made me just kind of go like it made me do the little wince like "Huh." Like it's scared. I was like, yes, you scared me. Yes.
Yeah. I think I know I remember what you're talking about, man. Like I remember another reason for me too, like that got me kind of into it was like I remember as a kid like going to my school library and they had a bunch of books on like the Universal monsters and that's kind of like what really kind of got me
Same
back
here.
into it. Yeah. And it was
I
like
found I found I found books. I found stuff that like it told me it said all these different monsters, and then it had like it listed off all these different movies. So I learned about The Fly. I learned about Blackula too. That's like I yeah. So I soaked
yeah,
all that in.
dude, that's freaking awesome, man. So well, one thing I always love about like when we talk about like horror and stuff is like how we just go down this ridiculous rabbit hole of just completely random, odd like horror movies. And that's the great thing about horror films, which we've talked about in previous episodes here on Colecast. Is just like there's so many different subgenre of like horror films. which is what I love so much about it. But I think one of the ones that, correct me if I'm wrong here from our talks, but I think one of the ones that's your favorite, you're like huge on Italian horror films, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
So what got you into that?
God, I think I saw like a special and they mentioned Suspiria by Argento. So I was like, what is this? Apparently, and it looked beautiful what I saw. So I had to see it. Then I was like, Argento had other movies. And then there's this other guy named Lucio Fulci. And he has these amazing movies. And then there's other stuff like Black Sabbath. Uh, I forgot. Oh, I believe the guy who directed that was Mario Brava. Correct me in the comments.
Yes.
And those
Or
are
you could
just
always
beautiful.
Wikipedia that shit.
Wikipedia that shit.
Yes.
Yeah, these are beautiful, violent, gory films. And some of them don't make any sense, but they're so beautiful.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I mean, I haven't seen nearly as many as you have on the Italian films, but from what I have seen, that's like kind of the common, denominator is just like completely out of context. Let's just make this as gory and as bloody and as stupid as
Mm-hmm.
possible. Like, and I mean, Argento. I mean, that's the one name I think even like a true diehard fan, they still know who like have heard of Dario Argento.
Yeah. They've heard at
And
least like they've heard that name. I think him and Fulci were both mentioned in Juno
oh yeah,
because they were
okay.
watching movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
um, I love, and besides Suspiria, I heavily recommend Tenebrae. If anyone gets, it's more Gaio, the genre, the subgenre of like murderers, and it's usually colorful or so. It's there's always vibrant colors, especially the blood. But heavily
Yeah.
recommend that.
Yeah, that's another thing. I'm glad you pointed out too. That's the one another thing I think that sticks out about those films instead of other horror films, especially of that time frame, is the cinematography. I think that was one thing that was like really taken for granted here in the States. It was just like, okay, let's just go shoot the film, let's scare the shit out of the kids, we get the money. But like with horror films, like over there, it was like they treated it completely different.
It was art.
Yeah, it really was, man. Like,
Yeah.
so I know, like you mentioned Suspiria, but like, if you were okay, let's say I'm a new fan and I don't know nearly anything about Argento films or Italian films in general. What would be like best Gout's recommendation of like, okay, you should check this, and this out?
Tenebrae. I would say there's three Lucio Fulci movies everyone needs to see. House by the Cemetery, City of the Living Dead, and The Beyond. Those
Oh,
are, mm-hmm.
City of the
And
Living
also
Dead. Yes.
that one's great. Even though it was originally not a zombie movie, but they had to turn it into also Zombie.
Yes.
Zombi. That one also great. And also Black Sabbath by Mario Brava. I'm probably saying his name wrong again. That one's an anthology film, and there's one in there that just holds the test of time, where a lady has to stay over in a house where a woman has died, so she has to stay there with her corpse, and her corpse is all like,
What's the name of that one?
I believe it's Black Sabbath.
Okay, I don't know the name, but I know I've seen that because I remember
Oh,
that
okay.
that I think I've saw that in passing on Shutter or something like that.
Yeah, I think they recently mentioned it. I went immediately after that to watch it, and it's funny if you go on to Shudder and watch it. For some reason, because the film was done in English, but for some reason they give you the Italian dub version with English subtitles.
Really?
I was very confused, but it still worked for me.
Oh, that's interesting. Like, what
Shudder
about
is weird.
Shutter is amazing too for like seven or
Oh
eight
yes,
bucks a month. It's like, oh, for us like horror movie fan. Oh yeah, yeah. It's like my nipples are getting hard just thinking about it, honestly.
full candy corn right now.
Yes. So what about like with Argento? I mean, Argento, I think usually is like like I say that's the one name people go with. Like, what are some of those Argento films you think you would recommend?
I would recommend opera. I would say he recently did a film called Dark Glasses. What I would say though is you need to be a fan of his films first. I feel like if you went into Dark Glasses blindly, no pun intended, because it involves a blind person. If you went in blindly, I feel like you would not like the movie at all. But if you're a fan of his, or you've been a little educated, you'd be like, so you're shooting out of your belly like a Care Bear.
That's an amazing way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
But
So,
yeah,
is there another? I've seen so many of his films.
well, I know personally. I think you've told me this before. I think your favorite is Demons, right? Or one of your favorites?
Yes, demons.
Yes.
My brain kept thinking of Gaio films. I'm like, oh my god, demons! Yes, I love demons. That is I love that film. The whole of the makeup effects, the music, the
Oh my god.
deaths. The deaths are amazing.
The story on it's really cool too, I think. Like, so for those of you who don't know, it's essentially the premise is like these people are like handed out like kind of tickets or invites to go to this movie theater to watch this movie premiere, right? And it's like they get there and it's just like to kind of essentially, if you think about it, it's like to lure them in, like because there's like this mask there that you shouldn't touch. And of course some dumb bitch touches it and well, just badness ensues. But yeah, the gore in it's phenomenal. Like I fucking love. I always mark out, man. Like, and I was fortunate. I got to see this live actually recently, which you'll be able to catch that on our Halloween special coming up here on Cool
Ooh.
TV. Just saying. But I got to see like Goblin live, like doing the score to Demons and like watching it in theaters because I never had seen Demon in theaters. Obviously I'd seen it as like growing up and stuff. I'm renting it on tape
Yeah.
and shit. But like watching it in theaters was a pretty badass experience. And I still mark the fuck out at the end, like when he gets on the damn motorcycle. And
Mm.
it's just
Oh
so
god,
weird
that
to me. I
that film.
love
I
it.
love Goblin. I love their music, and I'm happy you mentioned Goblin because that just unlocked a box in my head. Deep Red, also, I believe that's also on Shudder. Heavily recommend that one.
What's that one? Is that a? I'm
That's an
okay. That one is that an Argento one?
That's an Argento movie. Yes, it is. It's the beginning of it will freak you out because they're at one point they're in water, but like, it's a little confusing at one point. But it's they're chasing a killer, and yeah, once again, the Goblin soundtrack. That's like some of their best music right there.
But just saying something because I mean their body of work throughout like Argento films. Oh my god, it's so damn good.
I have a buddy at work who knew nothing about Argento movies at all, but was very familiar with Goblin's music, which I'm still very.
Really?
How do you not link the two together?
Yeah, that's kind of weird because I mean that's
Yeah,
primarily what they did like
I
as far as
I
I
don't think they
know.
have regular albums. It's all soundtrack music.
Yeah, as far as I know, exactly. It's all like soundtracks and stuff. But yeah, like seriously, if you ever get a chance, like I say, I was fortunate enough to see it here recently. But go check out if Goblin's in your town and they're like doing a score to any like Argento movie or whatever they're doing. Go check them out. It's well worth your money going to check them out. Like I felt so happy.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous of you.
It was a pretty rad experience. I gotta say, like I was on cloud nine. Let's put it that way. So.
Your nipples were at full candy corn.
Oh yeah, they were like if we were going on a scale of 1 to 10, they were 1,000. So
Bite those off.
Yeah, yes. I needed a lot of tissues. A whole box.
I bet.
Oh man, but yeah, like the Argento films, like those Italian films. Is there any other like foreign films that you were really into, like that you gravitated towards?
Asian films.
I was gonna ask you if like Asian or Japanese, Korean films, stuff like that.
Just saw a movie recently, and it's funny because it took me forever to remember the name of the film. There's an Indonesian like found footage possession film called The Medium. It's like possession and a little bit of zombie in there. It's well worth watching. It'll freak the hell out of you. I believe it's Indonesian, or oh god, it might not be. It is not American, and it'll freak you the hell out. And while it's in my brain, Satan's Slaves. Gotta promote that one.
I don't think I've seen that one. What's the premise on that?
Basically a haunted house type of situation. There's more to it as the film continues. It's kind of funny because it feels as if like they're not doing anything new, but it feels like it is new. It's made by yeah, it was made I believe in the Middle East or some part of Asia. I don't have Wikipedia in front of me, but it's very scary. It freaked me out. Hey, they came up with a sequel, which I think is almost lives up to it. Satan Slaves Part 2, and I'm looking forward on the edge of my seat for Satan Slaves Part 3. They're the first two are both on Shudder right now too.
Okay, I'm gonna have to add that to my queue.
Yeah,
Sounds very
experience everything I experience.
like I kind of like the one thing I always thought about like with those films, like I gotta be honest with the Korean films and like the Asian films and that whatnot. I didn't really kind of discover those until like they were really kind of being made popular here in the States, where it was like, you've talked about like the mid or early 2000s, I guess you could say, where it's just like, okay, let's copy Ring U. We're gonna call it the
Yeah,
Ring, or we're gonna copy oh shit, what was the one?
Ju-on.
Yes,
Yeah, The
yeah,
Grudge. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
don't get me started on Ju-on. I love those movies.
yeah.
That
They
Ju-on
are
Part
pretty.
1. Oh,
Wait,
Part
was
2 is one of my favorites.
I don't think I've seen part two.
I love Part 2 of the Ju-on 2, which is nothing to do with how The Grudge 2 came out. Also, they came out with like a movie that had like two parts to it called Black Ghost, White Ghost.
Oh,
Like they all scare the shit out of me. I am definitely scared of.
I feel like it's those like that type of stuff too. You gotta seek like with guys like us, like we gotta go long and hard, no pun intended, to find like stuff that's really kind of gonna like spook us because I mean we pretty much fucking seen everything it feels like.
Yeah, and at this point in my life, I need to hunt down the far. I watched a movie from Mexico recently called Cemetery of Terror.
Okay.
Like if I gotta find, cause I rarely watch anything multiple times. I just keep looking for something else. But I gotta look like I try to find the stuff that wasn't released in America. I recently saw The Possession, which I don't recommend.
Okay.
I'll just say, I'll leave it at that. It's just there's no possession in that movie,
Okay.
and the movie's like 2.5 hours long, and it takes about 2 hours and 15 minutes before you find out why it's a horror movie.
So it's like on paper the idea sounds kind of cool, but then you watch it and like, what the fuck is this?
You're like I'm watching a really intense drama, but where's the horror? Oh, that's it. But like so they were like I guess the movie was banned in so many countries that it made
Really?
you go like I need to find out why. And now it's like by today's standards, you're like,
Yeah,
huh?
it's funny, like the hype train on stuff. Like I can remember. I'm sure you can go through this too. As a teenager, I remember like everybody's like, "Oh, you go see the Blair Witch. Go see the Blair Witch." I remember watching it for some. I was like, "What the fuck? That's it?
I'm
Like
not. I
really?"
love found footage. Don't like, and I'm happy you're saying that because Blair Witch ends up on so many YouTube like top 10 lists at like number one, and my wife will sit here and be like, "Boo! No!"
Fucking terrible.
So
Fucking
many better
terrible.
found footage
The first
movies.
one's fucking terrible. The second one, why they even make it a second? If you want to see a good Blair Witch movie, why don't you watch the parody of it, The Bear Witch? Just saying. Now, those are some good movies. Yeah.
Man, I feel like you and me back in the day, we probably would have like met at a blockbuster, Hollywood or local thing, and like the tape would be there, and both our hands are touched at the same time. We would look up and kiss.
What's the funny thing is like that's another thing I don't know if I've ever really kind of talked about on here, but like kind of how like what really got me into all this stuff. I worked at a Blockbuster. It's one of the first jobs I
Oh,
ever
you
had.
lucky!
Yeah, yeah. So like I worked at a Blockbuster in my hometown, and that's like kind of when I really opened up the floodgates for like horror films and just like I was freaking watching everything I could get my hands on and stuff, man. That's when I really fell in love with the genre. If I
Oh
do
my god,
say.
I'm jealous.
And we, it's a cool thing too. We would be allowed up to 7 rentals a week, so it was like I was loaded the fuck
Ooh.
up on like horror films, dude. It was like left and right. That's all I was watching, especially like when it got closer to like around Halloween time and stuff. It's like, oh yeah,
Mhm. Oh
yeah.
god, I loved Blockbuster and Hollywood and all that back in the day. I would just be in the horror section. Like I'll just go up and down trying to find the one I haven't seen or the one that might be interesting. And just
Yeah,
do that. That's it. You wouldn't see me in the comedy. You wouldn't see me in the action. I still don't watch action films.
really? Okay.
Yeah, I rarely watch action films unless it's a comic book movie. But other than that, I just go straight to the horror section.
I'm the same way. I mean, I've watched some action movies throughout the years, but yeah, I mostly gravitate. It's just horror. There's just something about horror. You know what? I think it
Something.
was as a kid and like as like going on, like it's the one like genre where it's like really the box art is fucking important on the like cassette or on the DVD because
Well,
that's like kind of what because you got to keep in mind too, like, and also I think with us too, we grew up like during the boom era of like horror films, like still to this day, the '80s horror films are my absolute favorite. Like that's the ones I gravitate towards the most. Because I
there
can
are
just remember.
box art that I would get tattooed on my body if I could.
Oh, dude. Okay, so what would be the one?
Um. Okay, wait. Actually, the first thing that popped in my head, and technically it's not a horror movie, it's more of a Halloween movie, would be the recent, what I've seen, recent art I've seen for, and it's not even like really a box art, it's like more of a t shirt, but for Ernest Scared Stupid.
Oh, okay.
God, whatever, I want that on me so bad.
Well, here's
I
what
want
you
that on
do.
my chest.
Here's what you do. You do it. Although this would be an insult to Jim Farney, the late great. But what if it was like John Cena instead of Jim Farney? it's a it's an idea.
That's an idea. Oh my
Oh,
God.
I got it. I got it. This is how you pull it off, Best Scout. Like where Jim Farney is, he's invisible. Like you see the outline of his clothes and stuff. Because it's
Yes.
like, and then you get the reference, like, oh, it's John Cena. I don't know,
It's
maybe,
that's not Jim Varney. It's John Cena. God,
but
don't you guys get it?
I can't see him.
No way.
Oh man. But yeah, dude, working at Blockbuster really opened up my eyes. And like I say, the '80s genre is like my favorite. There were so many like in just talking about box art and stuff, I can just think of just complete random shit. Like the one that scared me as a kid, but like is a stupid fucking movie, but it's still fun. Like Ghoulies. Ghoulies got me. The ghoulie
Oh,
coming through the toilet, like I was scared to death to take a dump at night because I thought, the ghoulie's gonna come out and, like just slice my rectum to smithereens.
kind of like a Killer Clowns from Outer Space did that with me in toilets.
Yeah, yeah.
Because don't one of them pop out of the toilet for a second, right?
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
indeed.
That made me like look like 3 or 4 times.
It's like,
No one's gonna bite my ass, right? My sweet cheeks.
well, I can remember, like, your sweet cheeks. Yeah, they are. I can remember, like, just random ones too. Like, there was one. I think it was called. Oh, damn it! I don't think it was called Trolls. I want to say it's called Trolls. Maybe it was called Goblin, but I just remember it was like the creepy fucking like goblin like in the corner, and it was like an Art Deco kind of like
Hmm.
picture. God, now I'm gonna have to fucking look
I
that
have to
up.
got Wikipedia that now. That's gonna bother me now.
Yeah.
I was like, were you talking about Troll 2 or
No, it wasn't. See, and that's the thing. It wasn't one of the troll movies, which God, those were terrible. Like, but you know what I love is like how Troll 2 like took on like a whole new like meaning of like essentially like it's a cult classic, but just how it's just so fucking absurd. Like, yeah, I
Yeah,
think there's a documentary. There's a documentary on it.
there is a doc. It's like the best worst movie or the
Yes.
greatest worst movie or something like that. I watched that.
Which is really it's really interesting. Okay, I can't find it, but it'll come to me someday, Best Scout, I promise you.
Yeah,
Cool.
when I saw Troll 2, I rented it at this one movie rental place. We found this one rental place that was independently owned, and the horror section was just filled with movies I never heard of. which is like, to me, it's like, oh. So I rented like a whole batch of films. I saw The Stuff. I saw Troll 2. I saw Troll 2 like long before I found out that it was a cult classic. I just sat there like, he's about to piss on a table. Like, they're not even called trolls. You're calling them goblins. The place is called Nilbog. What the hell is going on here? It was insane.
I think it's fascinating too, because now I'm thinking about this on that documentary. The director of that, wasn't he Italian? Wasn't it an Italian filmmaker?
He was oh my God! I think he was Italian. Oh my God! They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Because like a lot of these Italian films I tell you about are crazy, and some of them make House by the Cemetery. So much of that movie makes no sense whatsoever, but I love that movie. Especially at the end of the film, there's like a quote that pops up on there with the person who said the quote. The quote has nothing to do with the movie whatsoever. And then you find out later the name on the bottom of it isn't even the person that said it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I don't know what's up with Italians, but they are just wacky. They were wacky as hell during the 70s and 80s and 90s.
Like, fuck it. You know, who cares?
Maybe they're weird now. I don't know. Anyone Italian watching this?
Grazie. I don't know any Italian. Sorry.
Falci Argento.
DiSerno pizza. Because it's not delivery. And let me ask you this: is there a horror film that you watched back in the day that you was like kind of into, or like it was so cool, and then you watch it years later, and you're like it's just like you just hate it, or it's just like over the top, just like this is just too like stupid, or just not even that, or if it's just like too like they're just trying to be offensive, and it's just like ugh, like, and you don't watch it again.
Let's see. So there's movies I really like I love Sleepaway Camp, but the whole girl being a guy and just being like, oh, they're a murderer, that's a little offensive nowadays.
Yeah.
Blair Witch, when it first came out, I enjoyed it, but there's no nostalgia there. Like I watched it later, I'm like, this sucks. This legitimately sucks. And if you enjoy it, you have horrible taste in movies.
Yes, get with it. Like that movie's fucking
terrible. Get with the times, baby.
I'll tell you the one that got me, because I used to own it, honestly, and I actually threw it in the garbage because I had I bought like a bootleg copy of it, but like Cannibal Holocaust.
Oh, dude, I can't watch that.
Can't do it.
The turtle. No.
Yeah, exactly. Not so much the guy getting his dick cut off with a rock, but it's what they do to a turtle in the movie.
Turtle, I don't give a fuck about your dick.
Yeah.
Fuck your dick. There's one movie, another one that I'm happy I get the chance to say this. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Everyone was dick riding that movie so hard back in the day, and like nobody talks about it now. And when that movie came out, it came out on pay-per-view months before it came out on tape. So we bought it, I rented it, I had the tape, and everyone I know wanted to watch it. So I had to sit and watch that movie over and over again.
No.
I got sick of that movie. It was by the time it came out on tape, I was sick of it.
I hate, and I'm glad you brought that up, because like that era of film, so like in the 90s for us as we're growing up here, like that kind of became a really popular trend of like those kind of like I would classify them as teenage light WB horror films. And what I mean by that is like it reminded me of like if Dawson's Creek was turned into a fucking horror movie, and it's just like ugh.
Final Destination, Scream.
Thank you. I'm so glad you said it. I think Scream
not
is
a
one
fan.
of the most overrated franchises.
I cannot watch. I don't want to watch Scream ever again. The sequel sucked. Final Destination, I can't stand anyone's haircut in that film for some reason. I just really I like watch. I'm like I put it on. I'm like nope, never mind.
The only thing I will say about Final Destination, and they're definitely in that genre there. But I do like the death scenes in it. I will say, like,
Yeah,
it still gets me if I'm driving down a highway and somebody's got some fucking logs or something. I'm like
logs.
pulling into the
First thing that pops
overlay.
ahead are the logs. It's the first thing that pops in my head. That
Yeah.
is like, and we've been behind logs like a week ago, and we're sitting there like, Final Destination. Is this it?
No. But yeah, though that era of films, I don't know, like for me, and I think that's too where like I started to kind of gravitate towards kind of the more of the foreign horror films because they were more original. They were more like okay,
Hmm.
this is some pretty intense, crazy shit. That's gonna like send shivers down your spine because that's what a horror movie's supposed to do, right? Um,
Exactly.
but like here in North America, it was just like from the I don't know, like the mid to late '90s to the 2000s. It was just like that crap we mentioned, and then like just
Terrible.
redundancy of just like let's just beat the fuck out of a franchise into the ground. I'm looking at you, Jason X. Let's send them in space. Fuck it. Um,
Well, everyone went to space and there during that time.
yeah, because remember, Leprechaun went to space too, which we saw in the very first episode. Was it the first episode of Friday Night
I
Movie?
believe it was the first episode. It
Yeah,
was
yeah,
Leprechaun. I think we're doing St. Patrick's Day.
yeah. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hellraiser went to space. Everyone went to space. What the hell, people? That was a weird time.
Yeah, yeah, it's like just
In
like,
a
well, we've run out of ideas. Fuck it, let's send them to space.
going to space. God damn.
And this may
We're
be a
going.
hot take, but for me personally, I truly think that the best franchise because like I think each of the films is like I don't know, like there's some that aren't the greatest, but I think each of the films kind of holds up on its own and they're very interesting. The Nightmare on Elm Street series, I think. Like, I mean, each one of them have something unique, and different about it. Like the first one's, of course,
Hmm.
the first one. The second one, we all know it as just the ridiculous like campiness and like how that
Hmm.
it's funny to me too how that's like a cult classic, especially in the LGBTQ community
Yeah.
as
I
well.
love that movie. I did not,
I do
and it's
too.
funny too because
I do
I
too.
didn't. It didn't occur to me at all that
Nope.
like anything there was gay. Like him screaming high pitched like a girl. I'm like, shit. I scream high pitched like a girl. I didn't think anything was wrong with that.
Yeah. Dude, 110% agree with you, brother. Like
Yeah. And the follow up ones like Dream Warriors, Dream
Dream Warriors
Child.
is
Those
my
are great.
favorite. Dream
I
Warriors
was.
is my
I've been
favorite.
in the presence of the cast of Dream Warriors.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
Yeah, they were like doing autographs. I couldn't afford any of them, and I made eye contact with at least two of them.
Aw, yeah. Did you see Heather Legend Camp?
No, I don't think I did.
Ah,
Maybe I did. No.
probably.
Eh.
It's weird too because I had a. It's kind of funny we're talking about that now because I had a crazy theory on that the other day. It just hit me like, well, after I watched it and I took a shower. But don't ask me why I was taking a shower after. That's for me to know personally. But anyways, as I'm as I'm there in the shower, I was thinking to myself like, what if like the third one was the first one you watched, And if you think about the story really, it's it's really like okay, the Dream Warriors like, essentially fighting back against Freddy, because Freddy's like been like, haunting everybody in their nightmares. But like
Yeah.
let's say that, once the Dream Warriors like defeat Freddy, right? What happened? What would happen if the Dream Warriors like went on to just like abuse their powers, right? And ultimately they become the villain. Could you and I was thinking about this
Oh
even
my
further,
god.
right? Yeah,
What if
yeah.
they won and they still could go through dreams themselves like he did, but like the power would corrupt them because power corrupts everyone. I've learned this in retail. If you have power, you're going. So I could see them going through and just abusing that shit. They're probably like find all their bullies because like they had to have bullies and their parents and just like kill the slice them up, beat them to a pulp, explode them with wizardry. Yes,
Yes, yes.
we
I'm
need
a
to make
wizard.
alternative. Yeah, you're a wizard, Harry. There
But
needs to be like a graphic novel of that. Make it happen.
it's like seriously, I got to thinking more about it. Like, and let's say you start off a film franchise, and it's about like just for example, the Dream Warriors, and the Dream Warriors how like they abuse their power. They're the ultimate bad guys or whatever, yada yada. And then the the victims or whatever of the Dream Warriors, they are like they can't stop them, but they have to go to a last resort. And what if they bring up Freddy? They bring back Freddy into the fold, right? And like, but I just thought it would be fascinating. What if like a horror film franchise started off like that, where it's like the antagonist is like actually the like they starts off the film and they're not really like the antagonists, and then the franchise it's like a role reversal, like in wrestling, heel and babyface. So you start off like Freddy is like the babyface, in the
Yeah.
first film,
Well, it's kind
and
of like how
then
Godzilla went.
yeah, I guess
Yeah,
that's
because he was the bad guy. And as the films progressed, he was always the good guy, stopping the bad guy.
yeah, that's true. But I just thought that would be like fascinating if you found out like a backstory. I don't know. It just hit me while I was in the shower once again.
Dream Warriors, Dream Warriors 5. Freddy saves the day.
Oh man, but yeah,
Coming to a Blu-ray near you.
coming to a Blu-ray near you, and a special engagement in AMC theaters for 1 week only.
Buy them on Phantom Events now.
And don't forget to get your exclusive Freddy Krueger $50 popcorn bucket because fuck it, why not?
It's like his head or something.
Yes, or it's like it's got like the hand going in it to get the popcorn. That'd be pretty dope. Oh god, Halloween Havoc, man.
Oh yeah, I have this one behind me.
Yes, I saw. Oh, I thought like you were.
It's like a giant board I got from a party.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have a Freddy glove somewhere, and I thought it was next to me, but no, it's not.
Okay, I knew you were going for some prop. Yeah, I have like a. It's not near me, but I've got like a Freddy doll actually.
I got a prop. I got a prop right here. The fuck are you?
What the fuck?
Legit don't know where this came from.
You just have a fucking doll in the best Gout chamber. I love it. Yes. Reasons. That's why.
Reasons.
Oh shit, man. So, I know we talked a lot about like the foreign, like Italian. Is there like a favorite like genre of horror that you really kind of gravitate towards as far as like, okay, are you a zombie guy? Are you a vampire guy? Are you a monster guy? Are you a werewolf? Like so on and so on. Slashers.
I personally, I think it's gonna go towards haunted houses.
Okay.
That's the one. Like zombies. I'm sorry, Walking Dead kind of ruined that for me a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm zombied out. Twilight ruined vampires for me, but haunted houses, like you could still make or at least what you'll think is a haunted house. Like the Insidious movies, the Conjuring universe, the Changeling from back in the day, Amityville. I always look for something with supernatural horror. I will lean towards that before I will like a normal guy murdering a family.
Okay. See, it's weird because I'm kind of the exact. I'm not like super huge on the supernatural. Like one movie that everybody loves, and maybe this is a hot take. I just never really got into. I never really cared for Poltergeist. I was just kind of like,
Oh, wow. Okay. See, I enjoy. I know. I bet you don't hate it, but to me, it almost doesn't feel like a horror movie. Almost, it makes me feel like. I don't know, it's like it almost feels horror adjacent, but it is horror. But I almost feel like it's not. So I kind of get you there.
Yeah, it's more like suspenseful, I guess you could say.
Yes, family friendly, suspenseful fun.
Giddy up. But the one thing I was amazed. The one thing I will say about that impressed me the most was just like once again showing the range of like a guy like a Tobe Hooper, man. Like with what he did in that, considering like what he did in Texas Chainsaw, which I still to this say. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is the blueprint for any fucking slasher film. Like if Texas Chainsaw doesn't happen, like you do not get Jason, you don't get Freddy, you don't get like
Michael
Myers, any of that. Like if the Texas Chainsaw doesn't happen.
Did I tell you I work like up the street from the Myers house from the first movie?
Really?
Yeah, like walking distance. They have events there.
Obviously, you've been there a couple times, I'd assume.
Oh, a few times. They have like events there. Spooky people sell their crafts there, and we go there. I've taken a few photos in front of the place.
That's kind of cool, though. Like, especially being at like that close to it. Like, I think that's something I would definitely be like
Literally,
gravitate
scenes.
towards.
I know where it's scenes from that movie were filmed.
Oh, that's pretty dope.
Like, watch. I'm like, I know that area. Oh my god.
So I guess that's something I never really thought about. So it was like, was Halloween, was all that shot in LA pretty much?
Yeah, it was all in South Pasadena, not Pasadena, but South Pasadena, California. Like, I know it's supposed to be Haddonfield in Massachusetts. Is that supposed to be? But
Okay.
like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah, yeah,
filmed. Yeah, all that is in South Pasadena, California.
yeah. Okay.
They lied to you.
God damn it. I knew it. John Carpenter, how could you do such a thing?
What? Love John Carpenter, by the way.
I'm so glad you said that because I'm right there with you. John Carpenter is one of my favorite filmmakers. Like, and I mean, John Carpenter is one of those guys. His body of work is like second to none. But it's like
Hmm.
that guy does not get nearly enough credit, I don't think, for just how involved he is in his films and how all these different like franchises he has and like in different genres of film. You know, you talk
He did
obviously
sci-fi.
yeah, great sci-fi films. Like you talk about freaking the Halloween movies, but you can't forget about the Snake Plissken, Escape from New York, Escape from LA movies. Those are
Yeah.
phenomenal. Um Personally, like, and I think you'll probably be in agreement with me on this, like They Live is one of my all-time favorite films. Love
I
that.
went to an event recently, and everyone was dressed up in Halloween costumes, and a couple was in there dressed as They Live with the masks on, and I was doing this like, oh my god, I don't need the glasses to see him. Oh my god.
You should have been like you should have been like that. One of my favorite lines is just completely random from that fucking movie is when like Piper's talking, and he's just like talking about like to like, oh, you're okay or whatever, but you're real fucking ugly. like to the old
I
lady
could
or
have said
whatever.
that. I don't want anyone like throwing up in a toilet later.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, no. I would advise saying that to someone, but
I
just
know,
I
I
don't know
know,
that like, that would be
I
funny.
know.
Fuck it.
What if they forgot
Uh,
that line? I'd ruin their self-esteem.
but as great as all that stuff is, honestly, my favorite Carpenter film of all time is The Thing. Like, dude, that movie still
Hmm.
gets me to this fucking day.
It will. Oh god, the practical. Oh, and I'm up there with like a million other horror nerds. I'm all about practical effects. Love me, and those are
100.
some of the best practical effects of all time.
Bar none. Bar fucking none, man. Like
Bar
the
fucking none.
animatronics, makeup, everything in that. Just
Oh,
you know what?
give me that all day.
You know what I think's really fascinating about that when you really think about it is the fact that that's a fucking remake. And it's like
Yeah,
that destroys the original one. No disrespect to
you
him,
don't.
but like
Trust me. Everyone that worked on that movie is dead.
yeah, yeah, fuck him.
But their ghosts, they're looking. Hey, fuck them. They're dead. You weren't strong enough to survive. Look at me.
Even though you
What's that?
were 90 years old.
Well, hey, look what I'm doing. Guess what I'm doing? I'm breathing. You're not,
Oh man. But no,
motherfucker.
motherfucker. Skeet skeet. Uh,
Skate, motherfucker.
but the one thing I love about that film too is like is the premise and where it takes place because I think that adds all the more chilliness to its fact that it's in fucking Antarctica and shit. And it's like
Hmm.
they're just in the middle of nowhere. It's bitterly cold. Like it's never daylight, hardly ever.
Yeah,
I think that
it's
adds.
continuously spooky.
Yes, that adds so many different unique elements. Cast is phenomenal too, and like
Oh yeah,
Kurt
Kurt
Russell.
Russell.
Oh my god,
A
yes.
light bulb just went off in my head.
What's that?
Okay, so we should get a crack team of practical effects artists. No damn, like the remake or prequel with the computer effects. We need a crack team of practical effects artists. Probably get the people who worked on The Morrow. There's a movie called The Morrow that came out a few years ago with great practical effects on the monsters. Make a sequel, kind of do what the recent Living Dead sequel did, and make a sequel of that in the city.
Oh shit.
Imagine that shit.
Yeah, because if you think about it, like, and that's the one thing too. Carpenter, that was like a one and done for him too, as well. Like,
Yeah,
he
no
never really.
sequels there.
But I think that makes it all the more enjoyable. Personally, is like it didn't get fucked up afterwards. You know, it was just like
Yeah,
the first one's so good. It's like, oh, I can't top that.
call it a day. Call it a day. Don't risk fucking it up.
Like, nope, I'm done. Instead, I'm gonna make James Woods vampires now. Even though that was many years later, but I just had to get that.
Yeah, to get that out of your system.
Yep, Ghost of Mars. There, I said it.
Did he do Halloween 3?
I don't think Carpenter did. I don't
Nah.
think he did because obviously the Halloween 3 controversy. Like, where the fuck's Mike?
Yeah, yeah.
Where is he? But yeah.
Where is he?
Let me ask you this: what is your opinion? We're talking Carpenter and Halloween. What is your opinion on the newer Halloween movies? Have you seen them? Or are you kind of like, eh?
They're okay. They're good. They're good. Okay, I actually really enjoyed Halloween. What was the second one called? Halloween Kill. Yeah, Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
So part one, I love the whole premise towards the end. The whole last quarter of that film, fucking loved. I loved how like her kids are like prepared to get Michael Myers. Like, yeah, solidarity, sister, get him. 2 was really awesome because of the kill count. The amount of people he killed, and including the who was the little boy in the first one. And Halloween Ends didn't happen.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. Actually, honestly, God, never saw it. I didn't. I have to admit it right now. I've never gotten around to seeing Halloween Ends because I heard how bad it was. But if you think I should watch it, tell me in the comments.
That's right. I have to be honest. I myself, like, I think I may, because I think it's on Peacock, and I think I started to watch it for like 5 minutes, and I like crashed, or I was just lost interest, or got on TikTok or something. It's kind of like, just wasn't for me.
Now the Rob Zombie ones are pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What do you think of the Rob Zombie ones?
The original one I really enjoyed because I like it felt like a modern take of it. You know, it was not so much a modern take, but it was like you got a little backstory in Michael Myers. And you know what? I think part 2 deserves more credit than it receives. I heard a lot of people don't like it. I thought it was great.
I wouldn't say I hated it. I was just kind of like, meh.
I thought it was great.
I will say this. I thought it was, I'll be honest, I thought it was a little mid. I thought they were a little mid.
They were a little bit.
Yeah, this was like,
I enjoyed it. Same thing with like Season of the Witch. I enjoy that movie.
I think like you got to go into that with the right mindset too. Like, and I think for me, I was just kind of like, okay, here we go again. Like with another Michael Myers. Like, I don't know. Maybe I need to watch him again to.
4 and 5, awesome movies. I just want to get that out of my system before we're over. 4 and 5 are awesome movies. 6 is pretty good and better than what they say it is. The Curse of Michael Myers, Paul Rudd.
What about the one where he's fighting Buster Rhymes?
Oh God, I saw that in the theaters.
What was that, Resurrection or some shit?
Resurrection.
Like that?
I remember like when I was a dumbass kid, I really liked it. I will say this: when he found out that Tyra Banks died, like because they don't show it, I think you see her dead. The whole theater was like, it was a packed house too. They just were like, "Woo! Tyra Banks is dead."
Fuck her.
Like, do we not like her? Because I'm little Mr. Sports Illustrated magazine in the bathroom back in those days.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about, brother. So let me ask you this: as we've been talking here, I think one thing that we love as horror fans, like we talked about a little bit earlier, was like introducing people to horror films and stuff. So that being said, I want to ask you, what are some of your favorite, would classify as like say a hidden gem or hidden gems of horror films, like just stuff you don't hear about or get talked about nearly as much in the horror film lexicon, but like they have their own right to be mentioned as far as like some of the more unique, fun.
I got a couple. I'm so. By the way, I'm happy. My brain is like. At first, I thought I was going to choke. My brain is coming up with stuff right now. I would say Dr. Terror's House of Horrors. it sounds like it's not a real movie, but it is. It's an anthology film made in the
Yeah.
60s, and it scared the crap out of me. I think
Yep.
Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee are in it, but I could be way wrong.
And I think that's from Hammer, right?
No. I remember actually rewatching it on AMC, and they had the introductions into it, and the guy was like, "Contrary to popular belief, this is not a Hammer movie, but it looks like a Hammer movie.
Yeah, that's.
It looks like a Hammer movie. Yeah, it's beautiful. It scared the crap out of me, and I love the ending. Every single story is great, and which speaking of anthology films, the original Tales from the Crypt movie from 1972. I think it's 72. Have you ever seen that one? Also, I love that one too. Both those movies never get mentioned, and those everyone needs to see those.
Yeah, those.
High on my list.
Yeah, those are some sexy picks, if I do say so myself.
Similar endings, but still great.
Yeah, they deserve their right to get some love, baby.
Oh my God, it's the same ending to Tales from the Hood.
You son of a bitch! I was getting ready to say that. I fucking love Tales from the Hood. That's a great movie, I think. Like, I always love those type of movies too, like kind of like Twilight Zone, Creep Show, and stuff, where it was like you get 3 or 4 stories out of it, kind of like Tales from the Crypt, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
I
No
always
other
love
genre gets that treatment.
Yeah, those are great movies, man. Anytime you get something like that, I can't think of like a really bad one. I mean, I'm sure it exists, but I don't know. For me, there's like a couple like I kind of like gravitate towards. Like I think there's some that's like really popular. Like if once I say it, it's like okay, that's popular with horror film fans. But I think outside of that, like not so much. One of them I always kind of think about is Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
Okay, that's one I'm very familiar with, but I've never seen. But I love the actor in it.
Really? Michael Rosenbaum or Michael not Rosenbaum, that's fucking Lex Luthor, Michael Rooker, right? I think. Michael God, I can't think of his name now. Shit. I'm having a brain
Mike.
fart.
His name's Mike.
His name's Mike. He's essentially it's the guy from fucking Guardians of the Galaxy, essentially.
Yeah.
The guy with the arrow, that guy.
Yeah. Now I gotta see this movie.
Oh, it's crazy, man. I think what's crazy about it, what stuck out to me was how like it's very like reality based, of just this guy. It's not like your typical like over the top like horror film, like just stupid shit. This is like, okay, this really could be happening. And it is kind of based off of a real story too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy. I think what I find all the more fascinating too is this was like it's a cult classic. It was shot like back in the day. Like I'm pretty sure it was shot actually in Chicago. Um, and it's like very low budget, but it's just like it's went on to be this like huge, phenomenal like cult classic. So
I've seen it on a few lists recently, and I'm like, now you're convinced because, like I said, I like more supernatural than I do actual killers. Even though I'm a huge fan of the Gio, I pronounce it correctly, the Italian subgenre for like serial killers. Basically, you would need to be an Italian serial killer for me to have watched you.
Hey. I went to the Olive Garden and now I'm going to kill motherfuckers.
I stab you with a breadstick. Ching!
I have unlimited ones from the Olive Garden. And don't forget to go there on Tuesdays for 2 can dine for $9.99. Just saying. What a deal that would be. But, yeah, Henry is definitely one of those ones I would definitely recommend. I think like there's like some other ones that come to mind. They're just like I wouldn't necessarily recommend, but they're just like nobody knows about. And it's like I feel like I want to tell the world about it. Like one of them, it's really fucking stupid. It's called the Nail Gun Massacre.
Ooh, okay. That's. I feel like I've seen the trailer for that more than the actual movie.
So, as you can guess, yes, it's about a killer who like kills people with nail guns. Essentially, it's kind of like the best way I can describe it is it's pretty much I spit on your grave, only they have a nail gun. That's the best way I can describe it. Yeah.
Sexy. it's like one of those really dumb films where I'm gonna see. It's like I'll see the poster for it on Shudder. I'm like, I'm watching that. Kind of like how I watched Death Spa not too long ago. It's like that looks ridiculous, but
And it
watching it
was.
now.
Yeah. Death Spa. Oh man, that's a good. Yeah, I do like. Another one now that you were going down that rabbit hole that you mentioned, like another one I think in that air is Blood Diner. I fucking love Blood Diner.
Blood. I'm trying. I'm confused. I think I'm going to confuse that with Hotel Hell.
So Blood Diner, like the premise of it is, it's like these two brothers pretty much open up a vegetarian restaurant essentially, and they're like purposely doing this to like kind of get females to come into the restaurant. But in reality, what they're doing is they're like killing them, and they're trying to like they're like cutting up their body parts to kind of resurrect and bring back this like goddess they believe in or something. Yeah, there you go. That's
Oh,
Blood
okay.
Diner.
Not what I expected.
But you would love it too, because the trailer is what sold me on it the first time I saw it. Because the trailer, they do it like this really bad, like restaurant, like over the top restaurant review guy, and he's just like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's pretty fucking hilarious in my opinion.
Going on
And
YouTube
it's scary.
immediately after this.
Yeah, you gotta watch the Blood Diner trailer. So, well, my friend, Mr. Bescout, as we're coming down to the end here of this episode of Colecast, I want to ask you, what is your, everybody always asks the Mount Rushmore, but I want to ask you your Mount Rushmore of horror film directors.
All right. Let's see here. All right. Okay. I hate to start off with the two because I mentioned them earlier and I worship their feet, but I'm gonna immediately go with Dario Argento, Lucio Fulci. Um, I want to be original. I want to think of someone in my head here. Let's see. Do I go with Wes Craven? Do I go with Tobe Hooper? Do I go with hmm,
So,
yeah, I know John Carpenter. We're gonna go with John Carpenter and hmm, mm, 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 James Wan.
oh, okay.
Didn't see that coming, did ya?
That fucking come out of
Oh,
nowhere.
oh! I'm a huge. Did he do Insidious?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, though if Insidious scared the ever living hell out of me, the first two. Conjuring scared the crap out of me, and I also enjoyed Aquaman.
I do like Aquaman. I'm not gonna lie. Oh man. So for me, it's definitely, I gotta say for sure, Wes Craven is on, and John Carpenter, like the first. I just feel like you got to have them on there, man. I mean, because without him,
Yeah.
you know. And I really want to say Tobe Hooper, but I don't know. There's a couple others that kind of come to mind too. Um, ah, I tell you one I really want to put on there, but like he doesn't have like if you look at his work, number one, he's like so much other stuff he's done in like the horror realm outside of horror films. But I really would love to put like Clive Barker on that list too, because I fucking love anything Clive
Oh
Barker does.
God, we went through this whole
We haven't talked
thing
anything about
without
Clive Barker.
mention Clive Barker. Oh my God, I've read the books of Blood. I read the book to Hellraiser, Hellbound Heart. I love Nightbreed. I wore Nightbreed socks for 2 days in a row recently.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. That would be another. I forgot to mention that. That I think's another hidden gem. Nightbreed's a great fucking movie.
Fucking Nightbreed. Right now, stop whatever the hell you're doing. Go online right now. Watch the director's cut of Nightbreed. That is an amazing film.
It
Yes,
really is.
I feel like nothing has been no stone has been left unturned. I would
None of
have like lost sleep if we turned this off and be like, we didn't do Nightbreed.
God damn it! The thing I love about that movie is like it's a complete role reversal, man.
Yeah,
It's complete, like, so the bad guys aren't. It's not the mutants from Midian. It's fucking like it's the humans,
the
and
humans are the bad people.
especially the fucking serial killer in that guy, the therapist dude,
Oh
like
God.
with some giving like some creepy scarecrow vibes and shit, man. Ugh.
When he killed that
God.
family, oh, dude, or when he goes to kill that family, like that is scary as shit. But the makeup effects in that movie is so good. I almost want to stay up tonight and watch that now.
Well, just to let you know, I found that because it's funny because I found this the other night and I did watch it. It's on Peacock, believe it or not. The cock has it.
The cock has it. It has Nightbreed.
What doesn't the cock have, man?
Cock had everything, baby. Got a medical alert bracelet and everything.
But I think for me, like I said, I guess I'm gonna go. God, I gotta name. Man, it's so fucking hard, and I know like I'm the one that asked this question, but it's like I can't. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna have one guilty pleasure, and I'm gonna have Clive Barker on my list just because I fucking love like just talking about Nightbreed, and then Hellraiser is one of my all-time favorites.
Nightbreed and Hellraiser. That's all you need as great. I don't think he directed that many other movies other than
Lords of
like,
Illusions. I think was the other one he did.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, that was a great one. For the love of God! Oh my God! Can you imagine how moist I was as a kid when I found out that Clive Barker was directing a movie that had Scott Quantum Leap Bakula in it? Oh, I was like Randy Marsh from South Park with the next to the computer. Like that's a central viewing. I'm not even sure that's a bad movie or not. I still will rewatch Lord of Illusions.
Yeah, it still holds up. I think mainly
Hell yeah,
visuals for sure.
the last half of that film grosses me out in a good way. For some reason, I don't know, something about the mask they put on the guy's face. That little like iron, like clank stuff. I don't know. For some reason, it grosses me out, but in a good way.
Yeah, I can respect that.
Like most of my porn.
Like most of my porn. But the fourth name, I think I got to put on my Mount Rushmore, honestly, and just because of like the genre he created. And granted, it's kind of like redundant now. I think you got to say.
I know who you're going to say now. George Romero.
You got to have. I mean, right?
I was like, I could smell it.
I can smell George. Well, you know what I think? Here's what I find fascinating about like the Dead trilogy. Like, and I'm not going to talk about anything other than like outside of that realm. Is how each one of those movies is a different decade. Night of the Living Dead's in the 60s, Dawn of the Dead's in the 70s, and Day of the Dead's in the 80s.
80s,
and,
yeah.
Like, Dawn of the Dead like the best one out of them? It's up
it's
there.
Amazing.
I don't sleep on Day of the Dead. I think Day of the Dead's an excellent.
No, that's so good. That one is so good.
Yeah,
worth watching.
Yeah, they're all great, and all these movies are great that we've talked about here today on Colecast. And you haven't seen them, go check them out. Go check them out on streaming services such as the Peacock. Is Shudder is an excellent source. Tubi, because we love Tubi. We love
Tubi.
But fuck Pluto.
Fuck Pluto. Fuck Fight TV.
Is there any other like streaming service you would recommend somebody for like horror films that I'm missing?
God, I know there's one called Screambox, but I've never actually seen it. But definitely Tubi is a great source of horror movies.
Tubi,
insane.
Yeah, for free Tubi, paid subscription Shudder is phenomenal. The cool thing about Shudder is it's got a ton of original content on there too, as well as original shows.
And they're good, and they're great movies. And you can find The Medium on there. And a whole bunch of Argento and Fulci movies. But you know what? Tubi, you can also find those same Fulci Argento films, I believe. They have a whole Gio section there, too. Gio? Jello.
Hello.
Gio. Hey.
Seriously, this spooky season, folks, do yourself a favor. If you haven't checked out any of these movies we've talked about, go check them out. Check them on all these streaming platforms. You won't regret it. We guarantee it.
Hit me up if you need me to like spell it out for you. If it didn't make any sense, or a reminder, leave it in the comments. Leave a comment. Tell me how sexy I am.
You are sexy AM. Well, as we come to the end of this episode of Colecast, as always, we gotta get a little bit of plug-a-palooza in. Best Scout, tell us where we can find your sexy ass.
All right, you can find my sexy ass, the notorious BGM, the velvet voice Adonis of Wrestle Talk. You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, X, or Twitter. Threads, You can find me on YouTube. You can find me with J-Nose Wrestling on the Gout Foundation. Soon I'm going to be joining the World Championship Wreckage for the TNA Impact Retrospective Show, Bound for Impact. And here too, occasionally.
Yes, PW60 as well as Friday Night Movie Night. So yeah.
Yes! God, I'm everywhere! I'm a Renaissance man, baby.
Sexy AF. Oh, baby. Let's kind of wrap it up for this episode of Colecast. Thank you so much for coming on, Best Scout. We appreciate it. Can't wait to have you back on again, brother. I'm just going to stare off at them beautiful biceps because I still believe, damn it. All right. Thanks, everybody. Happy Halloween. Happy spooky season.
Happy Halloween!
And we'll see you next time on another episode of Colecast. See ya.